The Chaser Report is recorded on Gadigal land.
Striving for mediocrity in a world of excellence. This is the Chaser Report.
Hello and welcome to the Chaser Report. I am Dom Nice.
And I am Charles Firth.
And today I have a lesson, Charles, a lesson I want to share with you, which I've learned from the news.
I am.
And look, it's a lesson, it's a life lesson that I think everyone listening to the podcast today can learn from, which is that in order for life to happen, in order for the world to turn, for progress to be made, occasionally people, animals, occasionally there has to be death, right? There's a trade-off that has to be made. And for so long, I've just felt like we should, try and stop animals from dying out, and species from becoming endangered, workers from dying on the job. But now I realise that comes with a high price. And I'm just not sure we're willing to pay it. And let's be really honest about this, okay?
Right, so this is not some sort of philosophical position like, Nietzsche said, the essence of life is death. Or,
death is inevitable. It's a question of when and how. No.
That there's an impulse. You're saying just this is more of a sort of like expedient, like cost versus benefit analysis.
That's right. There's going to be death, right?
Yes.
And people are going to die.
Yes.
So ask yourself this question, Charles. If someone's going to die anyway, shouldn't they die in the production of beautiful new Caesar stone bench tops? This is what's been happening in large numbers. These engineered stone, it's called. We used to just make things out of, I don't know, wood or stone. Yeah. But it turns out that if you don't cut them, and they're cut when they're wet, right? Yeah. If they're cut without using full safety gear, the silicon dust lodges in the lungs and can be fatal in many cases. It's called silicosis. We've known about it for a very long time.
It's horrible.
And it is sad. This is happening a lot at the moment.
Yes.
But that's a beautiful engineered bench top you've got there, Charles.
Yes, we're just in my kitchen now. And,
there's no actual blood on it. There's metaphorical blood on it, but no actual blood.
So let me just understand what you're saying is, I don't know how much that bench top costs, probably a couple of $1,000s or something like that.
And how many lives is the question.
And maybe a life, right? But what you're saying is, to get all that full equipment, it would probably cost, an extra $100 or something?
To have full PPE, it would cost a lot.
And so...
when margins are tight, Charles, margins are tight.
Yes, that rather than spend that extra $100 and have a bench top which didn't cause anyone's death, it's probably, on a cost-benefit analysis, better to just let that person die of silicosis.
Yeah.
So that we can have $100 off the bench top.
Well, I guess the other thing is it costs more, right? It obviously costs far more if someone dies prematurely young. They're not paying tax. There'll be welfare needs, but also the health system has to pay for their treatment, right? It's a vast amount of money for someone.
Yes, but that's
not being paid. Yeah, that's being paid by the government.
Yeah, that's somebody else paying.
Not by the company that makes the engineered stone.
Yes.
Bench tops.
I think we're sort of overstating how bad dying is, right? Because if you think about it, it's not just one bench top that this person has made to die from. It's probably thousands, right?
Well, they can make 40 a day, these high-grade skilled engineers who make it.
In a year, that's probably, 1,600 bench tops a year?
Yeah.
Working on the idea of 40.
So you're saying there's a lot of benefits?
Well, I'm saying that's probably, to actually account for, actually it probably means that the cost spread across all those bench tops is probably about $1 per bench top, isn't it, to be super safe?
That's why they call it Caesar stone.
Yeah.
Because Caesar was famous for not really giving a shit if the grunts died.
Yes.
So he could get what he wanted. In Caesar's case, it was, empire building and conquering the known world. In this case, it's
a beautiful kitchen.
It's beautiful kitchens. I mean, wasn't marble... okay, but did we really need those engineered bench tops?
Why? Is it just that it's cheaper? Like what's the problem with marble? I'd love marble. What's
it's
wrong
probably cheaper. I mean, it depends how you factor in. It's cheaper
and why can't you get silicosis from marble?
Well, it's not made of silicon. It's not made of silica.
Right.
So silicosis, there's 70 people in court in Victoria and Queensland who are stricken by silicosis and going to die prematurely. They're suing employers for not providing a safe working environment. Yeah. But define safe. It was safe for you. There's no danger to the customer. If the bench top's dry...
This is very dark, Dom. This is...
It's dark from the worker's perspective.
Yes.
Think of the people who make the stuff.
Yes.
They've had a great business.
Yes. And so what's the argument? Like, is the argument that we should just ban Caesar stone, or is it just that we should make people actually have
Full protective gear. If
So
you want them
what
to
is-
live, you would, yes.
Yes.
And people are calling it the asbestos of the 21st century.
Yes. Well, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, but we don't stop having it. It's not like we've ripped out all the asbestos out of all the
No, that's true.
houses
Yes.
and tried
Yes.
to save people's lives. It's not like there's been a dust diseases tribunal going on for decades trying to sort. This is quite dark, Charles. Let's not.
Maybe
let's move on from
Let's
this.
talk about something nicer, more beautiful, like koalas.
Let's
or
talk about
something.
koalas. Yeah, I want
cuddly
to talk about
koalas. Yeah.
This is really what they call a virtuous circle where everyone wins.
Yes.
Okay. One of the things we most need to make the world better, it's actually not Caesar stone benchtops, as nice as yours is.
Yes.
It's renewable energy.
Yes.
Renewable energy projects, and the Albanese government is forging ahead with a bunch of them.
And how can you possibly be against renewable
There's
energy?
140 developments that the federal environment department's looking at the moment. The only mild problem, and really, it's really a hiccup or a glitch, you could call it,
Sort of a tiny little thing.
is that it will damage precious koala habitat.
What?
Yeah,
But what? Hang on. But what? Like, surely, like, is there no other space than koala sanctuaries to build solar farms on?
I mean-
that seems a little bit opportunistic, doesn't it? Like,
What they're doing is they need a massive expansion of renewable energy to meet the energy target, right?
yes,
But then at the same time, Tanya Plibersek has vowed to protect endangered koala populations.
yes,
But you can't, because you need the habitat for access roads, site development, and also you'll massively reduce the sort of habitat available to the koala. But as against that, we'll have renewable energy.
But
So it's just a question. It's a trade-off.
But why don't you just build the renewable energy not in a koala sanctuary?
I mean, you could put them as offshore windmills, couldn't you? You could just
Or just,
make everything an offshore
anywhere.
windmill.
Like, koalas don't live everywhere.
Well, they don't now because of all the bushfires. Because we didn't take. See, Charles, you can't have it both ways. You know perfectly well that during the Black Summer bushfires, massive numbers of koalas died.
Yes.
Their habitats were decimated,
Yes.
and those fires were caused, were they not, partly by climate change?
Yes.
So we're trying to combat climate change
Yes.
by building all these wonderful new renewable projects. The only problem is it is also killing the koalas. So they're going to die either way. So the point is you can't have koalas anymore. So you may as well have renewables.
So you might as well just.
I mean, they're going to die either way.
No, but koalas are at pest levels in South Australia.
What's South Australia?
Like they've got 500 koalas per acre or something.
Actually, that's
in
a
South
very
Australia.
good question. Is it fair enough if the only place we let koalas survive is in South Australia?
But what I don't understand is South Australia also famously has more renewables than anywhere else in the
they've got that
country.
big battery.
They've got the big battery. It doesn't seem to me the total honest truth that you have to kill koalas. It sounds like a Barnaby Joyce talking point or a John Barilaro talking point.
But he was in favour of killing them anyway.
The only way we can have renewables is to be able to kill koalas.
I don't want to get sued by John Barilaro. John Barilaro loves koalas.
What?
He just
No, he
likes
doesn't.
weighing them up against things like farming, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Don't sue me, John. If you do, I'll
Make
get
it.
friendly Geordies to help me out.
Yeah, that's right.
And perhaps dress up as a koala.
None of the medical advice contained in the Chaser Report should legally be considered medical advice. The Chaser Report.
Tanya Plibersek said to the Herald earlier this week, if you want your kids and grandkids to be able to see koalas in the wild, we have to change what we're doing, because in New South Wales we're on a trajectory to no koalas by 2050. But what I'd say to the minister is, given that, just greenlight the renewable projects. I'm sure the koalas would rather die for renewable energy than from bushfires. Wouldn't they?
Yes.
If they got a vote.
Well, I think the truth is that koalas are unbelievably stupid, and they probably don't have a preference at all because they can't really think much, because their brain is about the size of a pea.
I didn't want to brain shame koalas, but I do remember from researching the koala for a book that I wrote once that apparently eucalyptus leaves are one of the most nutritionally terrible foods you can have.
Yes.
So they've chosen this food.
Yes.
They've basically got to spend the entire day eating because there's so little nutritional value. And that's why they have to go to sleep. They basically, it's like if your child only ate lollies.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the koala, they're not very bright.
They're stupid. Not only that, but this is a hilarious detail I found out the other day, which is that there are over 200 different types of eucalyptus leaves in Australia, and the koalas only like about 10 varieties of eucalyptus leaves. No one can figure out why they like certain types and not other types, but also you don't know when you're planting them. You don't know whether, like when you're planting eucalyptus trees, you don't know whether koalas are just going to turn up their nose at that particular tree or not. And they more than likely will.
That's not the kind of species that survives.
No.
Is it? It's not survival of the fittest.
It's sort of picky, fussy, dumb. It
wanna-
sounds like an eastern suburbs attitude to life.
I mean, just because they're cute, do they deserve to survive, right?
Yeah.
The only reason we're even talking about them is they wouldn't be in the news.
No.
If they were less cute.
Yeah, if they were.
You know what these koalas are doing? They're after a hand out of eucalyptus leaves. They should get a hand up. They should evolve to eat things other than koalas. If you're listening, you should consume foods other than eucalyptus. It's just a stupid thing to eat.
You still haven't answered my
Eat bread.
Dom, you still haven't,
Eat pizza.
You haven't answered my fundamental question, which is why are koalas necessarily pitted against renewable projects? Like, why can't you just move the renewable projects to not a koala farm, like, or not, where the koalas live? Like, why do they have to be where the koalas are living?
I'm reading this article here in the Sydney Morning Herald, and they don't actually address why
it seems
they
to
have
me
to
like
be in the habitat.
I feel like an evil genius has come up with this, like, it's like when you're a parent and you go, well, do you want to go to bed now or in 5 minutes' time? Right. And it's just a false choice. I feel like that's what is happening here. Like, I don't know. What is it? Probably, what's one of those evil energy companies? Like AGL or something like that. Oh, no, they're not evil anymore. Energy Australia has come up with this brilliant thing of, I know, the way we'll get our renewable things is we'll kill all the koalas.
Well, which then begs the question, couldn't we have turbines that are powered by koalas?
By koalas.
By corpses of koalas.
Yes, and they scamper around.
Actually, that's the way to save them, isn't it? I was going to have some sort of furnace that burnt them up. But
a treadmill.
A giant treadmill where they get a shitty eucalyptus leaf that for some reason is all they want to eat.
Yes.
They're like fussy children. We're coddling these koalas.
Yes.
This is the thing that happens, Charles.
Yes.
If we're putting the evolutionary pressure on them to eat something other than eucalyptus. If they manage to evolve to eat, I don't know, banana bread.
Yeah, then they deserve.
Or avocados. There's a glut of avocados.
Yes.
Then they get to survive. But instead, we're coddling them like we do our children. I mean, why do I give my child baby food when she should just evolve to eat grown-up food? Just because she's 10 months old.
I thought you were going to suggest that she should eat koalas.
Well,
Yeah. Okay.
It's the other white meat. All right, Charles. But then, look, I want to tie these things together.
Yeah,
right? Because there is.
This is a terribly
I
horrible
guess I've argued
episode.
that death is inevitable in some
Yeah, are
way.
you sure? Are you trying to be the new Alan Jones or something?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But there's an upside here, and this is where something Alan Jones would never say.
Yes.
Which is that if you're going to die, there's a great way to make sure that you have an impact beyond the term of your life.
Oh, yeah.
It's called human composting. And there are startups in New York and California which want to turn your corpse into something that will give back to the environment. I mean, embalming's bad for the environment. Obviously, being incinerated, cremation's terrible for the environment.
Very carbon unfriendly.
It's bad. What you can do instead is what they call natural organic reduction, and basically it turns your body into soil.
But isn't that what has been happening for thousands of years, called burying? Like, that's just a fucking fancy name for burying.
You can't be put in a box, or you just put in the soil.
So it's like a pauper's. It's a sort of.
It's a pauper's
nouveau
grave.
pauper.
It's like a really cardboard coffin.
A really expensive pauper's grave.
Yeah, because what you're paying money for instance, you're not paying money for the coffin.
No,
you're paying to the branding consultant to come up with the name of this business, which is Return Home. Return home to the earth from which we came. You can pre-purchase. You can pre-purchase a return home now.
I love it. I know. We don't cremate them. We bury them in the ground. It's a whole new technology. We just give it a new brand. It's new.
Do you know what the name of the woman who pioneered this industry is called? This is from The Guardian.
Copy face?
No, Katrina Spade. So what you do is, the way it works is, she did this in her graduate thesis. She got a degree for this, right?
Yeah, she got a degree.
She's
for coming up
she
with
looked
burying.
She looked. No, she looked at the way that. No, Charles, you don't understand the brilliance of this process.
Okay, right.
Okay, so traditionally,
Yes.
you just put the body in the ground. It takes ages to compose, whatever.
Yes.
But she looked at what farmers did to compost animals.
Oh, they
put them in a container with straw and wood chips.
Yes.
And composting a human only takes 8 to 12 weeks. It uses an eighth the energy required for cremation, and it's eco-friendly.
I'm happy to do that. That would be good. Be giving something back, and if you did it like in your backyard, then your family could, harvest the food that comes out of your dead body.
And they'd
be
be eating tomatoes or whatever, and they'd be thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh, there's a little bit of Charles
with
in
notes
this tomato."
of Dad.
Yeah, little notes, little aftertaste.
Yeah.
Presumably, unless you
the
dive,
acidic bitter,
acidic bitterness that Dad was so associated with. Presumably, unless you die of silicosis, in which case your body's toxic and can't possibly be returned to the earth. But other than that,
Yes.
we could do it with the koalas.
Oh, I think that's definite.
So there you go. Death is inevitable. So we may as well have nice kitchen bench tops. That's what I've got for this.
Yeah. Well, I think I might just order another. I know this one's new, but
You should get another one.
Yeah. Our gear is from Rode. We're part of the Iconoclast podcast network.
And nothing in this episode was ironic. These are all things we genuinely believe, especially Charles.